Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Dillon Danis lawsuit, we got some more details on it, and this thing is looking absolutely crazy. And unfortunately, if you're a fan of Dillon Danis, it doesn't look very good for him because, you know, there might be a legitimate complaint here. We're talking about revenge pornography laws getting potentially violated. We're talking restraining orders getting accepted or whatever. Dillon Danis, you know, it's not a fun time for him right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's even like hacked material from her Snapchat allegedly. Like, it just kind of goes into stuff, but there is some stuff in here too that's a little bit kind of malicious worded.
Yeah.
So it's not fully just like a Nina W, but I mean, yeah, we can just kind of dive into this.
This is a lawyer right here, Rob Freund Law. He took a look at the actual lawsuit. I don't know how he got a hold of it, but his analysis was pretty accurate, I would say. Yeah. Let's take a look. So he says, here's the lawsuit Nina Agdal filed against Dillon Danis today. Let's take a look. Plaintiff Nina Agdal, by and through undersigned counsel, files this verified complaint and demand for jury trial against defendant Dillon Danis, in which she seeks to hold him accountable for unlawfully posting a non-consensual sexually explicit photograph of her on the internet without her consent in violation of both federal and state law as grounds for her verified complaint. Plaintiff alleges as followed.
Now, like, immediately I look at that and I'm like, I swear every image has been public. Like, every image
that's
that he's
what
posted
I thought too
has been public. It's her with like her boyfriends, all her 100,000 boyfriends, or her like modeling nude or whatever. Like, that's what I've always thought. So when I saw this, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Let's do it. Like, I don't know.
She's suing under the federal revenge porn statute for posting a photo of her depicted full frontal nudity as part of a campaign of cyber harassment based on his, this is from the suit, unauthorized disclosure of a non-consensual sexually explicit photograph of the plaintiff. Agdal says a romantic partner took an explicit photo of her without her consent more than 10 years ago. Danis posted it on August 11th and took it down after Misfits Boxing told him to.
So even Misfits Boxing got directly involved with this. Like, I think that they say that he had to like get DM'd by Misfits and be like, take this down or we can't continue this fight because what you're posting is like actually illegal. Like, this is not just a paparazzi photo. This is not just, you know, whatever, like a video of her talking about how much she loves penis on all these like live streams and all these shows that she's been on and how much she loves sex. Like, this is a little bit more serious. So
yeah, exactly. It says here, among Danis's many offensive posts, at least one violated federal and state law and given rise to claims asserted in this complaint. In the course of a romantic encounter that plaintiff had with a non-party more than 10 years ago, the non-party took a sexually explicit photograph of plaintiff without her consent. By August 11, 2023, Danis had come into possession of that explicit photograph of the plaintiff that depicted full frontal nudity. On that day, Danis posted the photograph entirely uncensored from his Twitter account without the plaintiff's consent. Later that day, Danis reposted the explicit photograph in order to maximize the number of views it would receive. At some point thereafter, Danis reluctantly decided to delete the post containing the photograph. Misfits Boxing, the promoter of Danis's fight with Paul, directed Danis to delete the photo and threatened to cancel the fight until he complied.
Quick pause the video to just remind you guys to please subscribe to the channel. We're just a few subs away from 2,100 subs. We'd really appreciate if you guys subscribed. We're putting out daily content every day. So just give us a subscribe and show us support.
Let's fucking get it, boys.
Yeah. So a couple interesting things about that. First of all, I mean, he posted it twice, really?
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not getting enough views from this. I want it up there again. I want to see this twice in a row. And also, yeah, I don't like how they say X now in the legal documents. That's just like the worst.
The new Twitter name? Yeah, what the fuck is that all about?
The craziest part is this next section where they try to say that he just acknowledged that he broke the law.
Yeah, so they quote him here when he went on the Full Send podcast, and it says here, during that interview, Danis expressed to one of the podcast hosts, if you dated Nina right now and you send me a picture of her naked in bed, that's like illegal. That's defamation of character. So what they're alleging is that Danis acknowledged what he did and openly bragged about how illegal what he did was. But if you actually watch the clip in question, that's not really what's happening here. Take a listen.
It's like what trouble in paradise.
What are they saying?
I can't. The zone has put a little bit of a trap on me, but there's definitely trouble in paradise, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, how many photos of Logan's girl have you posted?
But at the end of the day, too, it's like, I'm not taking leaked photos from like, if you dated her, right? And you sent me a picture of her naked in bed. That's like illegal. That's defamation of character. And I also didn't put any captions on the picture.
How are you finding all these stuff?
So they talk about some other stuff, but he's saying, I'm not doing that.
Right. And I think they explicitly take out the words, I'm not, at the beginning of this.
Yeah, literally. It starts the quote like, if you dated.
Yeah, so he says, I'm not taking those photos, and then he gives an example, but they completely remove his expression of I'm not doing that. So also the thing that's weird about this is I'm not sure when this was posted, or when this was recorded rather, because it was posted on the 16th, and allegedly that photo went up on the 11th.
Right.
So if they recorded this, I don't know how quickly Full Sin gets like podcasts out, if they're like the next day type of thing, then that even also actually implies the complete opposite of what this suit alleges. And in fact, after he posted the August 11th thing, he's going on podcast saying, I would never do something like that because I'm not taking private photos that are sent to me of you naked.
Yeah.
So it actually implies that he didn't even know that that's what was really happening. Or maybe he could also just be, playing safe and covering his ass. But this quote is the opposite of what they're really trying to say here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the confusing part, right? Like in that podcast, you can see Danis literally say like, I'm not doing anything crazy like that. I'm only posting publicly available material, which is what everybody assumed he was posting. If he was just openly posting actual revenge porn of her, like openly, everybody would be like, I mean, maybe Logan's that hated that people would still give him a pass for that. I don't even know. That's like a crazy thought to think about, but either way, I mean, that would be a crazy thing for him to do, but he's saying that's not what he's trying to do here. So now it says she's seeking at least $150,000 in damages plus punitives and attorney's fees. She's also seeking a restraining order against Danis, and she says her Snapchat was hacked sometime in early 2022. So that's basically the fundamentals here. Also, the whole thing about Danis claiming that he was going to get jail time or she wants to be locked up in jail. Obviously, that's not true. That's not even how that works. So.
Yeah, that will never happen. Now, something interesting about the Snapchat hacking, obviously this goes into a lot of detail, but essentially the highlighted parts, she's like basically showing proof that like about a year and a half, maybe like a little over a year and a half ago, her Snapchat got hacked from locations she was never at. She says she was never, at one point here it says Phoenix, Arizona, then at another point New York City. And so she claims she was never in either of those locations. She had her password changed twice like during that time. So I don't know if it's some people from like the Fappening group or whatever who hack celebrity Snapchats, if they somehow got a hold of this video, maybe never published it, but then sent it to Danis and Danis published it himself. I'm not really sure, but she's alleging this was never sent to anyone. So that video that we've watched, where we were like, that's horrible if she's posted that publicly. Apparently she claims she's never actually posted it publicly and never even sent it to anyone privately at all.
Yeah, the video where she's like, I'm shuckling for penis or whatever.
Yeah,
we literally played that.
Yeah, we were just like, oh, this is disgusting.
What the fuck, man? Danis, you can't be having us play revenge porn, bro. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, well, luckily it's actually not porn. It is just, that's just a video of her in bed. So luckily there's nothing illegal about that. And
right.
From what we've done. But yeah, that's just,
now we're... just to be clear here.
But here at the very end is the TRO of the lawsuit, basically what she wants to, the TRO, what she wants to, have come out of this lawsuit, what she wants Dillon to comply with legally. And so the two things that she wants Dillon to follow is, one, to stop posting sexually explicit photographs of her, and two, to stop posting content in any way depicting or portraying her that he knows or has reason to believe was never meant to be shared publicly. So how do you feel about this?
I mean, look, the first one is just completely bad shit. The second one's reasonable. Like, that's fair. Like, yeah, don't post hacked nudes of me, basically.
Right.
Okay, I mean, I think most people can sympathize with that one. The first one, though, just seems like a total attack on Dillon Danis' free speech. Especially when she's like an open model, it's not like her being sexual or, all these photos are a surprise to anybody, right? He should be allowed to post these pictures with any commentary that he wants, unless he's calling for violence or something like that, right? For her to include that as a stipulation just seems like a total overreach.
Yeah, especially because sexually explicit sounds very vague. So like, for example, he's posted one paparazzi photo of like one of her boyfriends like standing over her like this, or she's like laying on the ground and he has like a bottle and he's like this pouring the drink down or whatever. Is that sexual? Is that sexually explicit?
Yeah, by this document standards, like I don't know. It's open for all kinds of interpretation.
Yeah, or that's public photographs and you can comment on that and you can like shit on her for that if you want to because she's a public figure. So it's just I think that's ridiculous. The second one is true because also it does go on to say after the highlighted part, or it was obtained without the consent through the hacking of plaintiff's accounts or through any other illegal or unauthorized means. If it was just two, I would say Nina W, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a very interesting lawsuit. Now, this lawyer went on to give some commentary. A lot of people are kind of talking about, their thoughts on the case. A lot of people, obviously, because, nobody likes Nina, were very critical of the case. And the lawyer, he seems to be more on Nina's side. But that being said, he does seem to be somewhat fair with the information here. So somebody said, this seems like a weak case. And he's like, how does it weak? And they go on to basically say, collecting from an individual, especially a degen like Dillon Danis, is a huge, almost impossible undertaking. The juice is not worth the squeeze. The merit might be valid, but that's not enough of a reason to pursue, in my opinion. And he says, so it's a strong case, financially weak defendant would be more accurate. So I guess what they're saying is Dillon Danis is like too poor for this suit to be worth it. Is that true?
I don't think so. I think for someone like Dillon, because she's asking for 150K for every infraction.
He has 150K.
I think there's only 2 infractions: the hacked Snapchat and the nude like romantic encounter photo. So that's 300K right there.
Yeah.
There's no way this guy doesn't have 300K or can't pay off 300K over the next like 10 years or something like that. Like he obviously can do that. So this isn't like I don't think he's financially weak in that sense.
One of the things that a lot of people are confused about is Dillon responsible for posting hacked material if he wasn't the hacker, nor was he the first person to publish it, right? So if somebody hacked into her Snapchat, posted that on the internet, Dillon sees that online and then posts it again, is he still liable for posting revenge porn if he wasn't the original hacker, right? And this lawyer basically explains that technically speaking, yes, he could actually, based on the legal definition of disclose, be liable for violating revenge porn laws, basically, right? By the definition of disclose here, it says the term disclose means to transfer, publish, distribute, or make accessible.
Yeah.
So based on that definition, then yeah, he could still be fucked even if he wasn't the original leaker, which is insane.
Yeah, because the idea behind it is basically like the reason this is actually like a good law is because when you have something like how I brought up earlier, the fappening, for example, if they post all of those photos of all those leaked celebrities on the fappening, and then something like Pornhub or any other, like porn site, like maybe an X or a Twitter account comes along, and they just take all those photos and re-upload them to Pornhub or re-upload them to Twitter, that account or that website that's doing that is still just as liable because it's all revenge porn. So like when Jennifer Lawrence gets everything leaked, she can sue the fappening, but she can also sue Pornhub. Otherwise, Pornhub can just say, actually, I'm not legally viable, even though I posted your revenge porn and your leaked nudes because someone else already did it before me. So really, it's actually kind of a good law, but it does kind of get weird when it's applied to these individual cases, or maybe it's just like a one person who didn't really know about it. You know what I mean? Or maybe didn't know that it was hacked or didn't know that that's where it came from. And they're not some like big porn company exploiting it and profiting off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's very interesting nonetheless to see here. This lawyer just put up a tweet like 4 hours ago. He says, here's what's next in the Dillon Danis case. On Tuesday, the court will hear arguments about whether to keep the restraining order in place. Danis has until Sunday at noon to file a brief explaining why it shouldn't. If he or his lawyers no-show the hearing, it stays in place. And according to Danis himself, here he is. He says, I brought this so I would go undetected from getting served. It backfired on me. Everyone approached me and thought I was Ariel Helwani.
Amazing.
So there you go. So he's been served the papers. So the suit is on, but so is the fight. Apparently this will not disrupt the fight at all.
Yeah, because the restraining order thing is happening on Tuesday, but I don't think that's going to stop anything from happening, especially if Danis can even make a case why it shouldn't be in place, because then it gets weird. Like, can he even show up to the fight if Nina's there? Right. Like if Nina's at the fight, is he going to get kicked? I don't think it's not going to stop anything in the next month and a half.